Hey there, it's so nice to see you here. In my previous video, we talked about how to pick watercolor painting as a hobby and how to actually stick to it. If you haven't watched it yet, you can catch up on that after watching this video. You can find a link in the description box down below or in the info card somewhere up here. Now, because so many people have picked up watercolor painting lately, I want to talk about things I wish I knew sooner, just right before I started with watercolor painting. I feel like there are so many things that took me years to finally realize, so I hope I can save you time and frustration on your watercolor journey with these tips. Now, the first thing that I wish I knew sooner is that it's all about quality over quantity. I feel like as a beginner, we just want to start and we get excited about all the different things and tools we can buy, right? And sometimes we think that the more we can get, the better. Because as a beginner, we tend to think that the more colors the set has to offer, the more interesting our art will be. But in the end, the painting looks or can look super busy or all over the place. And the more you get of something for a low price, the lower the quality will be in most cases, don't you agree? And when it comes to watercolor painting, you do get what you pay for. For example, if you buy 50 different colors in one set at a low price, the colors will probably feel chalky. The colors will look dull when mixed together, and the overall experience will be super confusing and overwhelming. So instead of buying too many colors at once that will make me feel frustrated or I don't even know how to use it correctly, I would invest in just a few primary colors and allow myself to know them instead. Meaning, how do I make them lighter and darker? How do I mix them? What can I do with just one single color? If you would love to learn how to get the most out of your watercolors, you can sign up for my free mini course that starts in just a few days, where we talk about exactly that. You can find a link in the description box down below. Another big thing I see all the time is that a lot of people stress so much about coming up with ideas on what to paint just from their imagination. And because they can't think of anything, they don't paint anything at all. But I think it's totally okay to use a reference image to inspire your idea. And you don't necessarily have to use one picture. You can use multiple different images and then select a few things and combine them in your artwork. Just because you can't paint from imagination doesn't mean you're a terrible artist or that you're not creative enough. I feel like sometimes we make things so hard on ourselves because we have these imaginary rules we think we need to follow. All the artists I like and follow all use pictures they took while they were traveling or at home using a few props. They also combine them while painting or create a collage digitally before starting. So there are multiple different ways how you can do that. You can either create your own reference pictures, or you can also use royalty-free websites with images that you can use for your own art, such as Unsplash and Pixabay and some others. Just make sure that you have the full right to use them in whatever way you want, especially if you're going to sell your artwork. And this brings me to the next point that I wish I knew sooner. A reference picture is there to inspire your art, not for simply copying it. A big issue I see is that people get so frustrated when something doesn't work out the way they wanted it. You might have a great reference picture that you would like to paint and use for your artwork, but because you force your art to look exactly like that, you feel like you'll never be able to do it, so you quit. Instead, it's okay to pick just a few elements from the reference picture and leave out the rest. You can also experiment with different styles and colors. Oh, and this is another big learning I had. The colors you see in your reference picture don't have to be exactly the colors you use in your painting. Sometimes we can get caught up in mixing precisely the same green or orange, use exactly the same blue color we see on the picture, but by doing that, again, you simply focus on just copying something. Instead, you can use similar colors and test out different variations of those colors. Here are some paintings I did when I was following an online course, and the reference picture didn't look like these paintings at all. The grass was totally different, the color of the shadows was different, but the artists used their own colors to create those, and I love it. This way you develop your own personal color palette and style because you allow yourself to play around with your reference picture. Which brings me to the next point. Give yourself time to develop your style. You don't have to find it immediately. I feel like we sometimes fall into the trap of stressing so much about finding our own style to stand out. But at the end of the day, it just makes us feel stuck because we don't post anything, we don't paint anything, nothing happens. You might end up just comparing yourself to others, and creating art becomes more of something you do for other people's approval. For example, if you browse through Instagram, you'll see so many different artists with their own personal styles. But they didn't just one day sit down and brainstorm about how their style will look like. They just developed it over time as they practiced their craft. So instead of beating yourself up and feeling stuck because you think you need to immediately have your own style, simply paint what brings you joy. Learn the basic watercolor techniques and play around with them. Even though there are so many different artists with so many different styles, they still use the same watercolor principles. The key here is to really allow yourself to play around and experiment. Your style will always develop, and that's okay. Paint the way it feels right to you at the moment. Which brings me to the next point. Practice makes progress. I just recently finished working on my very first watercolor painting book, where I show different projects you can paint step by step. And I can't tell you how many paintings I had to create until I was happy with just a few. Things didn't work out. I didn't like how some projects turned out, but because I literally was painting every day, at the end of my multiple painting sessions, where I tried to make one idea come to life, I felt like I got so much better in painting in just a few days. And the more I painted, the more ideas I got for paintings, and the more ideas I got for how I could paint something. So in just a short amount of time, I learned so much and got so much better. Imagine I would have wasted so much time just sitting around waiting for the perfect painting to just appear on my desk. And another major thing that makes people quit on a painting is they judge it way too quickly. A painting has to go through ugly stages. You might be only a few brushstrokes in your painting and you already feel like quitting because it looks weird, and we've been all there. But you simply judge it way too early. The paint will move, you will add more layers on top, adjust a few things here and there. So it's still in the process of becoming a painting. That's why don't judge your painting too early, it's not done yet. And this happened to me all the time. So whenever I'm in the process of painting, I have to constantly remind myself that this is just the part of the process, this is just the beginning. It will look different, later, and that's okay. Take a break for your painting. Another big lesson I had was that the picture you paint is not the same as you wake up to. There were so many cases when I was working on my book where I spent the whole day painting, and I didn't like anything. And then I went to bed slightly frustrated, I must say, because I still have to manage my mindset and all the thoughts when it comes to my perfectionism. But the next day I looked at the paintings and thought, that's actually not that bad. Because sometimes we spend so much time, too much time on our paintings, we can't really see nothing clearly. So instead of being frustrated about something that doesn't turn out the way you wanted, give yourself some break. Give yourself a break from your art. Go back to it with fresh eyes and a fresh mind. And if you still don't entirely like your painting, at least you can see what you can change or improve, that you now had some space. Which brings me to another point. It's okay to create art that you don't like. And as I mentioned in my previous video, I feel like the main reason why people quit on something is because when something doesn't work out or they make mistakes, they always make it mean something about them. So I feel like why do we do this to ourselves? Just because your painting didn't turn out the way you imagined it doesn't mean you're a bad artist. It simply means you're in the process of developing your next masterpiece. I've said it in the past, I'm actually relieved that some ideas don't work out when I put them onto paper. Instead, I feel so relieved because Now I get to play and to experiment until I refine my initial idea without putting so much pressure on myself again. So make as many attempts as you need until you're happy with the result. There's no shame in that, really. It's only paper. Everything is a valuable experience. And I always say, not everything will go according to your plan. You might plan something and expect something, but you also need to be ready that something won't turn out the way you wanted. So you need to learn how to adapt and not freak out. And I think watercolor painting is such a great way to help you train that. You can lead the way, but at some point you also need to let go and just let it do its magic. So if you want to learn how to take control over your watercolor tools so you can lead the way, don't forget to sign up for my free mini course that starts soon. You can find a link in the description box down below and all the information about it. So go and check it out. Keep your art to be aware of your progress, and don't destroy your art that you didn't like or that is old. It's so important to see your own progress because sometimes we can get caught up in painting and getting better, feeling frustrated because sometimes we still don't feel like we're getting better and nothing clicks on the paper, that in the end we're entirely unaware of how far we actually have come. And I really regret that I threw away so many artworks that I created in the past. I wish I had them now. So now I actually just stack them on a shelf or in a drawer. So in a few months or years, I can look back and see how my style and myself developed over time. Again, don't forget to sign up for the free mini course. The link is in the description box down below. I really hope you liked this video and found it helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!